death, blood. There will be blood in the streets. It's going to be mayhem. If we are continued to be allowed to do the thing and carry a firearm like I have been for the last 4 years, like everyone else has, if the people who the DOJ have said they could not identify any sort of major crime stemming from this group, if they're continued to allow to do the exact same thing they've been doing for a decade, all of a sudden on January 1st, blood in the streets. Blood in the streets. Hello everyone, I got some bad news in regards to my lawsuit, which would prevent the state of California from banning concealed carry in the entire state. So let's talk about some background info. SB 2 was a bill that was proposed by Gavin Newsom, Robert Bonta, and written by Senator Portantino in the state of California after the Bruin decision allowed anyone in the state of California to exercise their right to protect themselves from threats, both foreign and domestic, whatever you want to say, however you want to call it. It allowed people to get a concealed carry weapons permit without having to show that they were some sort of special protected class like the elite, rich, and wealthy, or well-connected. This apparently was terrible news for the state of California and the lizard overlords that run it. So they passed SB 2. They tried it the year prior when they had an urgency clause that would have put it into effect immediately, but that didn't pass. They needed too many votes. They didn't quite get that many votes. They introduced it the same bill next year without the urgency clause that would go into effect, and it passed, and it would go into effect January 1st, which as of today is about 2 days from now. Unfortunately for them, myself, Anthony Miranda, and a handful of other people joined up with the California Rifle and Pistol Association and filed a lawsuit. Hey everyone, before we get into the video, just got to give a quick thank you to the sponsor of this channel, the ammo sponsor, Last Shot AZ. It's where I get a lot of my ammo, and you can get some very high quality stuff over there. If you are into more than just the cheap stuff, they have the absolute best prices on high quality ammunition, but they also do stock the cheap stuff that you might want to just blast a ton of. If you use code Reno on any order over $2.99, it will give you free shipping. There is never any sales tax outside the state of Arizona, which if you look at those two things, it gives you a better price on pretty much anything that they have in stock. If they've got it in stock, it's probably cheaper than the lowest thing you're going to see on AmmoSeek. Again, Last Shot AZ. I'll leave a link to their Instagram down in the description below. Thank you. So that lawsuit, May versus Bonta, was put in front of the same judge that heard the court case that I'm a part of, Boland versus Bonta, and issued a favorable ruling allowing us to get more firearms on the California handgun roster. So it was assigned to Judge Carney, and Judge Carney issued a great ruling that basically struck down all of the sensitive spaces and the vampire clause. Effectively, SB 2, part of SB 2, had a list of locations that was so widespread and so impossible to navigate, including sidewalks and parking lots of many locations, that the only place, when asked, Anthony Portantino, the person that wrote this bill, was asked in a press conference, where will people be able to carry their firearm if they have a concealed carry weapons permit? He said sidewalks. Technically, this is not correct because many sidewalks would also be considered sensitive spaces. I tried doing a video in the past showing what this would look like navigating my local area, and I kind of just gave up because when I looked at the map, there was not a single location in the entire downtown area of Santa Rosa that I would have been able to carry a firearm because of the restrictions on sidewalks and parking lots. And let's be real, you look up at a building, it's 20 stories tall, it looks like there's about 15 to 20 office spaces per floor. Do you know every single location? Do you know every single place that's in that building? Probably not, which means you can't be on the sidewalk, which means you can't be in the parking lot, which means you can't be in the building. Kind of restricts it. In addition to that, the vampire clause would have required that any place that was not outright banned from carrying a firearm, that was not on the massive list, in order to carry a firearm, the business would have to, they were going to be forced to speak on it by putting up a sign saying that guns were allowed. The default to having the right to carry a firearm to protect yourself would have to be acknowledged directly. You would have to be given permission at every location that you want to go to. This has been struck down in every court it's been challenged in so far, and we got an injunction from Judge Carney. He basically struck down the vampire clause, the sensitive spaces, and the parking lot and sidewalk restrictions on many of the places that were not challenged, because unfortunately, we did not challenge the ban on nuclear weapons facilities. I'm sorry, guys, we couldn't get that one for you. We couldn't quite find a plaintiff that fit for that. I'm so sorry. Now, the new wave of finagling. I want to use some more harsh language, but I'm going to refrain from doing so. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals received a motion from Attorney General Rob Bonta's office saying, hey, if this injunction prevents SB 2 from going into effect on January 1st, death, blood, there will be blood in the streets. It's going to be mayhem. If we are continued to be allowed to do the thing and carry a firearm like I have been for the last 4 years, like everyone else has, if the people who the DOJ have said they could not identify any sort of major crime stemming from this group, if they're continued to allow to do the exact same thing they've been doing for a decade, all of a sudden on January 1st, blood in the streets. Blood in the streets. That's the argument that the DOJ is making. Now, the Ninth Circuit motions panel sent the state's motion to stay the preliminary injunction to the lawsuit's merits panel. At this time, I don't know which judges are on these panels. I'm just quoting from the Firearms Policy Coalition because they have a case in tandem with the CRPA case. The motions panel issued a temporary stay on the preliminary injunction until the merits panel makes a decision on California's motion. Essentially, what this means is that as of January 1st, SB 2's sensitive spaces will go into effect. The vampire clause will go into effect. We do not have a timeline because there is no required timeline for that merits panel to issue a stay. It's possible that in the next 36 hours or so, they issue a stay and January 1st we don't all become criminals, but it's unlikely. So when is this going to come? I don't know. I wish that I had better information for you guys, but unfortunately, the information I'm giving you now is bad news. As of January 1st, you could be a criminal for doing the exact same thing that you have been doing for a long time. I am not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not telling you how to live your life. I'm giving you information so that you can make the choices that are best fit for you. Analyze your risk, analyze your livelihood, analyze everything that goes involved with your day-to-day, and make the decision that's right for you. Whatever that decision is, have fun, be safe, stay dangerous, peace.